up, all my fight fans? So we have some very unfortunate news. Some very, very unfortunate news. Now, if you guys have been a big fight fan, whether it's boxing or MMA, whatever you have, there's been some recent developments. It actually happened Sunday, so I am a little late um, posting this and saying something about this. But the great Anthony Rumble Johnson had passed away. I'm not 100% sure what exactly it was. I believe it was non-Hodgins, but don't quote me on that. I believe it's out there though. You could look it up, but he did unfortunately pass away. He was sick for a little bit, and unfortunately, it took his life at 38. He was a very young man, only 38 years old, guys. So very, very big condolences to his family, to his friends, to people that knew him. I was just a big fan of him. I remember him from the early days when he fought Josh Koscheck, Vitor Belfort. Unfortunately, he lost. But the point being of those fights were he fought Josh Koscheck at 170, then he fought Vitor Belfort at 185, and then he came back and became a monster at 205 at light heavyweight. So it's incredible to see the guy that you saw recently in the light heavyweight division and see him just be this monster of a man and to say like, damn, that guy actually used to make welterweight. It's crazy, but man, did he hit hard? Did he hit hard? I think that's what I feel like. If he was a light heavyweight all that time, I believe that he would have made a bigger career for himself. But who knows? Maybe that's just the what he liked it at welterweight and middleweight at the time. So but be that as it may, he did lose those fights, and then he got booted from the UFC. He made a name for himself outside the UFC, then came back in the UFC and just steamrolled almost everybody that was not a champion. The guy was just a beast. You went over there with Antonio Ruggiero, knocked him out in the first round. Alexander Gustafsson knocked him out in the first round. Glover Teixeira knocked him out in the first round. Ryan Bader knocked him out in the first round. So, the guys went to the who's who, and then he had two chances at the heavyweight strap against DC and lost both of them, unfortunately. But in that first fight, if you guys watched that first fight, good God, did he crack DC. DC literally flew way across the cage. And I believe DC even says it to this day that that's the hardest he's ever been hit. The hardest he's ever been hit. He's been hit by heavyweights. He's been hit by big men, but Rumble Johnson cracked him and he flew. So that Rumble Johnson was one hell of a fighter. One hell of a fighter. And it makes you wonder how that fight would have went down with John Jones. He was scheduled to fight John Jones, but that's when John Jones was in that whole incident with the law. I'm not going to go into any details with there, but it's nothing new. Of course, we already know, but nonetheless, the strap was vacated, and then that's when he fought DC for the title. So yeah, that he's gonna be deeply missed, deeply missed. He was one hell of a fighter, one hell of a fighter. He still had a lot of years of his life. He still had a great career ahead of him. He could have made easily the light heavyweight championship within the Bellator community because that's where he was at now. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna miss him. I'm definitely gonna miss seeing him fight. Like I said, he was a scary dude. My fantasy matchup would have been almost if he was in the UFC to go up to heavyweight and to see him fight Francis Ngannou. How scary would that have been? Those two guys who have just this knockout crazy power, and you see how dangerous he was at light heavyweight. Imagine what Rumble could have done at heavyweight. So yeah, he's definitely gonna be missed, guys. Definitely took a look at his career. Definitely look at some of his fights. Because he was one hell of a fighter. So he's definitely gonna be missed within the fight community. So guys, send your condolences out. Rest in peace, Rumble Johnson. You're gonna be missed, buddy.